Hello, my friendos. How is everybody out there tonight? We have determined, while we've been waiting, that V is not the boss of me. Thank goodness. But somebody should be, because I'm doing a terrible job of it. What you gonna do? How was everybody's weekend out there? I am tired. Earlier I thought, I'm gonna stream and it's gonna be so much fun. But I was much younger then. Love and music, it is good to see you. How are you, my dear? I hope everything is getting on well in your world. I wish you would stream again. I miss you. But I understand life and houses and work and children and things. I'm going to try without, excuse me for the noise. I'm going to try without my microphone condom. I'm going sans condom here. Raw dog in the microphone. Hernia repair. Do they do that with a mesh anymore? I thought there was a bunch of lawsuits about meshes, but I think there was a particular type of mesh. How do they do that now? Yeah, you got the mesh. You're like perforated now. You've got holes in you. Does the mic sound different without the little windscreen afro on it? I love this song. This is a nice beat. Sounds good to you? All right, we're gonna run it without that. I was running it without that and then, or with that, and I've changed up my EQ and everything. Hold on one second. I like not having, hey, it's my oldest. I like not having the windscreen on. The Calisandra in the building. Big thumbs up. And give Callie a search. A shout out. Please give Callie a follow. She was just painting the other day with Odin. It was a mess of cat everything. I've been thinking about a couple of things. I want to load up, and I just haven't had the time yet. I will probably do that tomorrow. I want to load up Words on Stream, because I think that would be fun for us to play in little intermissions and things. And it kind of goes along with the theme of the stream. And then I was talking in the Discord. Please look down below and follow with the Discord along. I was following along the Discord and asking people what they wanted to do tonight. And an old friend said, hey, maybe we should. Oh, hey, I'm glad that you did. Say hello to you too. And keep us up to speed. Join the Discord, Love and Music, and then keep us up to speed on your recovery. And I hope everything goes well with your hernia surgery. I think, anyway, an old friend said, you know what you should do? I didn't really say that. So we should do some Discord, get some group people in from Discord that I trust, and build NPC and do building streams. And I think that would be a lot of fun. It would be less pressure too on people. You know, they could just be over there and we can do some building. So, you know, if V has the spoons and Make Right and Joe, Big Jim Slade, and you know, all the friends that come in here, they can come hang out and build things with us. That would be fun. because I am tired, I think I'm just going to do a little bit of reading tonight. Maybe some things from Mother Goose that we haven't heard yet. And see how that goes. Remember, Tuesday night, we're back with Metamorphosis with Franz Kafka. And I'm sure I'll be doing bedtime streams for Salty off and on whenever I've got a chance. I will also be, Big Jim and I will be soon. Early next month, we'll be on the Liching Hour on a team. Trying to take on the dungeon there against some salty veterans. So we'll see how that goes. For those of you that are just coming in, what did you do this weekend? Jelly Gato with the big raid. I wonder why my raid thing is not popping up. I think I have a raid. I think I have a raid thing. Thank you, V, for the shout out. You recovered, Callie? You recovered from, oh yeah, you were doing like a 24-hour stream or something, weren't you? Let's look over and see. Don't I have a raid thing? Howdy, Jelly. You were playing a lot today. Father J touched a bunch of tips today. I like tips. Father J, I like tips. 12 hours. That's a long time. Alert box. Donation. Raid. Why am I? Yeah, I should have gotten that. Why is my raid not working? Ah. There we go. There, it was disabled, I think. New alerts were interrupted in the screen alert. I don't know what that means, but let's hope that fixes it. Let's hope that fixes it. It should look something like this. You're going to raid again? Oh, Cookie. I'm sorry, buddy. Well, you know, you hang around and I'll explain things to you, okay, bud? Because we know, I believe the bits work. The bits should look like that.
Diomedes _ Industries cheered. X10000.
Oh.
This is a test bit alert.
Yeah. We'll see if that works. I know the subs work. Yeah, okay.
Diomedes _ Industries just subscribed. This is a test.
Okay. Father J is now following, so that works. Yeah, the jelly is not. I don't know. It's silly. It's silly. I wonder what could be going on. Raids. Let's look. Raids. Raider minimum 0, which is fine. Raid alerts. Oh, enabled. Jelly, you want to try it again? Hold on, let me save. Save. Jeez. Oh my God, Callie, thank you so very much. I am rich.
The Calisandra cheered. X300.
It's not ready for this. All right, yeah, try it again, Jelly. Let's see if we got it. We'll see. Thank you so much, Callie. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the bits work for sure. Yes, Jelly, thank you. Thank you guys all for the raid that came over from Jelly. It's good to see you, Father J. I was just telling everybody that we're going to be up on in the dungeon. Yeah, we got it. We're going to be in the dungeon very soon. Big Jim and I against some old salty veterans. But I thought we would do some Mother Goose. Again, for those of you that are new, this is a reading stream I'm going to set up some words on stream. I think soon. Load that in, make sure all that works. And, see, and look, Callie's name is up there so beautifully. And then load that in. I think also what we're going to do is Yeah, I agree. And what I thought, Jelly, was like during breaks and stuff, we would put it up, or in between stories, allow us to pick other stories, and it fits the theme. And so I thought that would be a cool idea. Tuesday night, 8:00 EST, we're going to be finishing up the Metamorphosis. And I thought it would be pretty cool to do. Oh, yeah, that's how Corman does it. Cool. I thought it would be pretty cool to do a building stream after and maybe make the bug as a monster or as an NPC or as something. We would figure that out. The Vermin, as it was called in Franz Kafka's book. I gotta look for the dog to see when she comes in. Besides Father J touching tips, what was everybody else up to? I will tell you about myself. Friday, Salty came over, about 2:00 or something. I got some work done, and we got some work done and some things going on. Playable race. Yeah. Ooh, that would be good. All right, let me let the dog in. Hold on 1 second. Doggo. Hi, Doggo. Whoop. Nice. And so, hi, Autumn. Yeah, Autumn says hello. Where is she? Oh, she wandered off. She's over in the other room. Salty came over and we hung out. I don't remember what we really did on Friday. Went to dinner, got some things done, adult things. And then Saturday, we went to a very small Renaissance fair. We didn't realize how small it was until we got there. It was just fine. It was great for what it was. It was southwest of Norfolk, all run by volunteers. All the vendors were very small. That was just little tents set up. All the food was put in by volunteers, making money for like little boys and girls clubs and things like that. But because of it, it was like the most chill thing ever. Everybody cared. Everybody wanted to help you. When you ate, there was a little stage there, and kids did little entertainment and skits and things, and they were all dressed up, and you could tell they were kind of making it up, and it was whatever it was, but they were great, and all the vendors had really nice stuff, but very small, There were three mead tents, and we found out that Dio does not like dry mead, which one tent had the whole thing. And this guy kept pouring for me and for Salty. And so Salty was drinking mine and hers. And, oh boy, by the time we got done with both mead tents, Salty had enough. It was pretty funny. She wasn't in any bad shape. She's like, I'm a little buzzed. I'm like, yeah, I bet you are, because you're essentially doing shots. 12% alcohol, And, we just wandered around. We found her some spoon rings. They had, hey, Nat 20 Academy, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for coming in and following. Good to see you. Yeah, no, it's good. It is good, man. It is good. Thanks for hanging out. We found some sterling silver. They make some this woman was fast, dude. She had a bunch of jewelry. She had a cool machine that she had figured out. And she was making spoon rings. So I got Salty a couple of those. We found some goat milk soap and bought some goat milk soap. And what else? A book for her son. And I think we looked at magic wands. My son, my youngest, got a kilt. And so he's getting everything kind of set up for his mother's side is a family that has a tartan official. And so he's been setting all that up. So shirt and, some socks and shoes and a Seguin dub would be really nice and finish all that off. And we ate. And then we were ready to go, There's another one coming up. Oh, Salty has been also putting together her costume. So we just got some simple stuff like a peasant dress off of eBay and kind of a wide belt, and she had some boots, and so we're just going to keep slowly adding to it and see what she wants to do. I haven't figured out what I want to do. I want to build mine too, because I think it's just a blast to do that. So maybe I'll be talking to Jelly about, building a pauldron or something. I saw a cool guy's outfit. He was doing like a magic user thing, and he had a bandolier that fit preforms, those plastic preforms that look like test tubes. And he just filled his with colored liquid and like glitter and other things. And it kind of looked like components, across his chest and stuff. And I was like, dude, I could make that in, a couple hours. It's a belt and some stuff. And oh yeah, let me know, Jelly, if you ever want any help. Do that easy. That's easy. So yeah, we went to that, and then we came back, dropped the boys off, took a nap because we're old, and then went and got something to eat and just hung out. And then she left early-ish today, and then all the work, mowed the lawn and dinner and set the kids up for meal prep today and everything like that. Now that you know how buckles work. Yeah, let me know if I always help with buckles. And I have a million buckles. I bought some, the guy was like closing a couple of people were closing out their shops. And so I have like a ton of buckles, big ones too. So let me know. It'd be perfect for like a bandolier. Be cool. And maybe with your outfit, like one side, like a belt, and like one side have like four, that would be cool with Bonnie's outfit, I don't know, just thinking. Let's give Mother Goose a try tonight, shall we? And then if Salty makes it in, we will do some Bedtime for Salty. I'll switch the stream title. And make sure you guys come back on Tuesday at 8:00. Goose, honk. And I want to start putting together some of my emotes, get those all set up. So we're going to keep building the stream as we go. And you guys hanging out would be great. I was thinking of doing tonight, this is a Mother Goose translation from 1696 with some illustrations that I thought we would do. There we go. I thought we would do Little Thumb, and I don't know why, and I don't know if that's Tom Thumb. I don't know. This is going to be, cold, blind reading. So I figured we'd just give it a shot and just sort of do a bedtime thing. So it's 9:30 my time, probably a little early for you. We'll see how this goes. If this goes well and goes, relatively quickly, we'll switch over to some Grimm fairy tales and we'll do some bedtime for Grimm fairy tales. Make sure you join the Discord. Join in on there. Follow along. We're growing there. Where's McTeddy? I know. Time for you to get your blindfold on. Go to bed. It's a little earlier time for that. And I'll be around after probably for a little while. I'll see about playing some games. We got to set some things up too. So let's try Little Thumb. See if Dio has the stories memorized. I do not have the stories memorized. Little Thumb, Mother Goose, Tales of Mother Goose. And who is this written by? Let's look. First collected by Perrault in 1696. And I don't know if it's a last name or a full name. I don't know anything there. So, Little Thumb by Mother Goose. I did look this up. Bundles of sticks, of course, are where we get the word faggot from. And so I'm not going to change the language in this. This is a person who bundles sticks and would sell sticks. And there we go. So, once upon a time, there was a faggot maker and his wife who had 7 children, all boys. The eldest was but 10 years old and the youngest only 7. They were very poor, and their 7 children were a great source of trouble to them because not one of them was able to earn his bread. Damn kids these days. What gave them yet more uneasiness was that the youngest was very delicate and scarce ever spoke a word. Oh, it's going to be like Tom Thumb. Yeah, okay. Which made people take for stupidity that which was a sign of good sense. I love that sentence. Let's try that again. What gave them yet more uneasiness was that the youngest was very delicate and scarce ever spoke a word. He was very little. Scarcely spoke a word, which made people take for stupidity that which was a sign of good sense. He was very little, and when born was no bigger than one's thumb. Hence he was called Little Thumb. Now, what's that? That's how big the baby is? That's okay. I think they're exaggerating, but you never know. Who knows? The poor child was the drudge of the household, and always in the wrong. He was, however, the most bright and discreet of all the brothers, and if he spoke little, he heard and thought the more. There came a very bad year, and the famine was so great that these poor people resolved to rid themselves of their children. You know, that's what you do when food gets scarce. You just be like, you gotta go. I don't know why they're trying to rid themselves of Little Thumb, because how much can you eat when you're the size of a thumb? Yeah, it was super legit, Jelly. They took care of kids when you were thumb-sized. Like, you don't have to feed him all that much, you know? One evening, when they were in bed and the faggot maker was sitting with his wife at the fire, he said to her, with his heart ready to burst with grief, "You see plainly that we're no longer to give our children food, and I cannot bear to see them die of hunger before my eyes. I am resolved to lose them in the wood tomorrow, which may be very easily done, for while they amuse themselves in tying up faggots, we only have to run away and leave them without seeing us." Okay, so he's sad that he can't feed his kids, but his solution is to abandon them in the woods. "Ah," cried out the wife, "could you really take those children and lose them?" In vain did her husband represent to her their great poverty. She would not consent to it. She was poor, but she was their mother. However, having considered what a grief it would be to her to see them die of hunger, she consented and went weeping to bed. Little Thumb heard all of this. For hearing that they were talking business, he got up softly and slipped under his father's seat so as to hear without being seen. Yeah, neonatal care, A+, family ethics, G. He went to bed again, but did not sleep a wink all the rest of the night, thinking of what he had to do. He got up early in the morning, went to the brookside where he filled his pockets full of small white pebbles. Then he returned home. They all went out, but Little Thumb never told his brothers a word of what he knew. They went into a very thick forest where they could not see one another at 10 paces apart. The faggot maker began to cut wood and the children to gather up sticks and make faggots. Their father and mother, seeing them busy at their work, got away from them unbeknown, and then all at once they ran as fast as they could through a winding bypath. When the children found that they were alone, they all began to cry with all their might. Little Thumb let them cry on, knowing very well how to get home again. For as he came, he dropped little white pebbles he had in his pockets all the way. He said to them, "Do not be afraid, my brothers. Father and mother have left us, but I will lead you home again. Only follow me." They followed, and he brought them home by the very same way they had come to the forest. They dared not go in at first, but stood outside the door to listen what their father and mother were saying. The very moment the faggot maker and his wife reached home, the lord of the manor sent them 10 crowns, which he had long owed them, and which they never hoped to see. This gave them new life, for the poor people were dying of hunger. The faggot maker sent his wife to the butcher's at once, as it was a long time since they had eaten. She bought thrice as much meat as was needed to support for 2 people. When they had eaten, the woman said, "Alas, where are our poor children now? They would make a good feast of what we have left here. It was you, William, who wished to lose them. I told you we should repent of it. What are they doing now in the forest? Alas, perhaps the wolves have already eaten them up. You are very inhuman, thus to have lost your children." Okay, she went to the store and bought 6 people's worth of food, and they threw down. And then she was like, oh, where's the kids? They should eat our leftovers. But you're jacked up, Dad. The faggot maker grew at last quiet out of patience. For she repeated 20 times that he should repent of it and that she was in the right. He threatened to beat her if she did not hold her tongue. The faggot maker was perhaps more sorry than his wife, but she teased him so that he could not endure it. She wept bitterly, saying, "Alas, where are my children now, my poor children?" She said this once so very loud that the children who were at the door heard her and cried out all together, "Here we are, here we are." She ran immediately to let them in and said as she embraced him, "How happy I am to see you, my dear children. You are very tired and very hungry, and my poor Peter, you are covered in mud. Come in, let me clean you." Peter was the eldest son, whom she loved more than the rest, because he was red-haired, like herself. They sat down at the table and ate with an appetite which pleased both father and mother, to whom they told how frightened they were in the woods, nearly speaking all at once. The good folk were delighted to see their children once more, and this joy continued while the 10 crowns lasted. But when the money was all spent, they fell again into their former uneasiness, and resolved to lose their children again, and that they might be the surer for doing it, they determined to take them much farther than before. They could not talk of this so secretly, but they were overheard by Little Thumb, who laid his plans to get out of the difficulty as he had done before. But though he got up very early to go pick up some little pebbles, he could not, for he found the house door double locked. They locked him in. He did not know what to do. His father had given him a piece of bread for their breakfast. He reflected that he might use the bread instead of pebbles by throwing crumbs along the way should they pass, so he stuffed it in his pocket. Okay. Let me know, Jelly. Their father and mother led them into the thickest, most obscure part of the forest, and then stealing away into a bypath, left them there. Little Thumb was not very worried about it, for he thought he could easily find the way, again by means of his bread, which he had scattered along as he came. But he was very much surprised when he could not find a single crumb. The birds had come to eat them all. They were now in great trouble, for the more they wandered, the deeper they went into the forest. Night now fell, and there arose a high wind which filled them with fear. They fancied they heard on every side the howling of wolves to come devour them, which wetted them to. It rained very hard. It wetted them to the skin. They scarce dared not to speak or turn their heads. Their feet slipped at every step, and they fell into the mud, covering their hands with it so they did not know what to do with them. Little Thumb climbed to the top of a tree to see if he could discover anything. Looking on every side, he saw at last a glimmering light, like that of a candle, but a long way beyond the forest. He came down, and when upon the ground he could see it no more, which grieved him sadly. However, walking for some time with his brothers towards that side on the wood which he had seen the light, he discovered it again as he came out of the wood. They arrived at last where the house with his candle was, not without many frights, for very often they lost sight of it, which also happened every time they came into a hollow. They knocked at the door, and a good woman came to open it. She asked them what they wanted. Little Thumb told them they were poor children who were lost in the forest and desired to lodge there for charity's sake. The woman, seeing them all so very pretty, began to weep and said to them, "Alas, poor babies, where do you come from? Do you know that this house belongs to a cruel ogre who eats little children? Alas, dear madam, answered Little Thumb, who with his brothers was trembling in every limb. What shall we do? The wolves of the forest surely will devour us tonight if you refuse us shelter in your house, and so we would rather the gentleman should eat us. Perhaps he will take pity on us if you were pleased to ask him to do so. The ogre's wife, who believed she could hide them from her husband till morning, let them come in, took them to warm themselves at the very good fire, for there was a whole sheep roasting for the ogre's supper. As they began to warm themselves, they heard 3-4 great raps at the door. This was the ogre who had come home. His wife quickly hid them under the bed and went to open the door. The ogre at once asked if supper was ready and the wine drawn, then sat himself down at the table. The sheep was yet all raw, but he liked it the better for that. He sniffed about to the right and left, saying, "I smell fresh meat." "What you smell," said the wife, "must be the calf which I have got now, killed and flayed." "I smell fresh meat, I tell you once more," replied the ogre, looking crossly at his wife. "And there is something here which I do not understand." As he spoke these words, he got up from the table and went straight to bed. "Ah," said he, "that is how you would cheat me. I know not why I do not eat you too. It is well for you that you are tough. Here is game, which comes very luckily to entertain 3 ogres of my acquaintance, who are to pay me a visit in 2 days. He dragged them out from under the bed, one by one. The poor children fell upon their knees and begged his pardon, but they had to do with one of the most cruel ogres, who, far from having pity on them, was already devouring them in his mind. And he told his wife they would be delicate eating when she had made a good sauce. He then took a great knife, and coming up to these poor children, sharpened it upon a great whetstone which he held in his left hand. He had already taken hold of one of them when his wife said to him, "What need you do it now? Will you not have enough time tomorrow?" "Hold your prating," said the ogre. "They will eat the tenderer." "But you have so much meat already," replied his wife. "Here is a calf, 2 sheep, and half a pig." "That is true," said the ogre. "Give them a good supper so that they may not grow thin, and put them to bed." "All right, Callie, get ready for bed." The good woman was overjoyed at this, and gave them a good supper, but they were so much afraid that they could not eat. As for the ogre, he sat down again to drink, being highly pleased that he had the wherewithal to treat his friends. He drank 12 glasses more than ordinary, which got up into his head and obliged him to go to bed. The ogre had 7 daughters, who were still little children. These young ogresses had all of them very fine complexions, but they had little gray eyes, quite round, hooked noses, and a very large mouth, and very long, sharp teeth set apart. They were not yet wicked, but they promised well to be, for they had already bitten little children. "I smell fresh meat." Oops, going back the wrong way. They had already been put to bed. Ogresses, Father J. They had already been put to bed early, all 7 in one bed, and every one a crown of gold upon her head. There was in the same chamber a bed of the like size, and the ogre's wife put the 7 little boys into this bed, after which she went to bed herself. Little Thumb, who had already observed that the ogre's daughter had crowns of gold upon their head, and was afraid lest the ogre should repent not killing them that evening, got up at midnight, taking his brother's bonnets and his own, went very softly to put them on the heads of the little ogresses after having taken off their crowns of gold, which he put on his own head and his brother's, so that the ogre might take them for his daughters and his daughters for the little boys which whom he wanted to kill. Things turned out just as he had thought, for the ogre, waking about midnight, regretting that he had deferred till morning to do what he might have done overnight, and jumped quickly out of bed, taking his great knife. "Let us see," he said, "how our little rogues do, and not make two jobs of the matter." Good news, Jelly. Ogresusy. He then went up, groping all the way into his daughter's chamber, and coming to the bed where the little boys lay who were fast asleep, except Little Thumb, who was terribly afraid when he found the ogre fumbling about his head, as he had done about his brothers. He felt the little golden crowns and said, "I should make a fine work of it, truly." Hey, Jelly, thank you for the sub.
Gato just subscribed.
Yay, Bezos bucks. Okay. Are there ads right now? Do we have ads? Do I know how to run ads? I don't know how to do that. I didn't know we had ads. Huh. They go on automatically? Can I only time them if I am... Oh, when you join, yeah. Can I only time them if I'm like a partner or something? How do people time them? How do people play ads? How do they know they're coming? Okay, I'll figure it out. All right, here we go. The ogre has trying to find who to kill. "I should have made a fine piece of work of it, truly. It is clear I drank too much last night." When he went to the beds with the little girls and having found the boys' little bonnets, "Ah," said he, "my merry lads, are you there? Let us work boldly." And saying these words, without much more to do, cruelly murdered all his 7 daughters. Well pleased with what he had done, went to bed again. Okay, Callie. So soon as Little Thumb heard the ogre snore, he waked his brothers and bade them put on their clothes and quickly follow him. They stole softly into the garden and got over the wall. They ran about all night, trembling the while, without knowing which way they went. The ogre, when he awoke, said to his wife, "Go upstairs and dress those young rascals who came here last night." Yeah, the ogre's daughters are dead, Jelly. I think if you set them to be mid-roll, you get some sort of warning, but they are pre-roll by default, so you get a video when they're tuned in or refresh. Okay, that makes sense. The ogress was very much surprised at this goodness of her husband, not dreaming after what manner she should dress them, but thinking that she had ordered her up to go up and put on their clothes. She went and was horrified and perceived her 7 daughters all dead. She began by fainting away, as was the only natural in such a case. The ogre, fearing his wife was too long in doing what he had ordered, went up himself and was no less than his wife amazed by the frightening spectacle. "Ah, what have I done?" cried he. "The wretches shall pay for it, and that instantly." He threw a pitcher of water on his wife's face, and having brought her to herself, "Give me quickly," cried he, "my 7-leagued boots, so that I may go catch them." He went out into the country, and after running in all directions, he came at last to the very road where the poor children were, and not above 100 paces from their father's house. They spied the ogre, who went at one step from mountain to mountain and over the rivers as easily as the narrowest brooks. Little Thumb, seeing a hollow rock near the place where they hid his brothers in it and crowded in himself, watching always what would become of the ogre. The ogre, I hope he stepped on their shitty parents' house, and not yet. The ogre, who found himself tired with his long and fruitless journey, for those boots of 7 leagues are greatly taxed the wearer, had a great mind to rest himself, and by chance went to sit upon the rock which the little boys have hidden themselves. As he was worn out with fatigue, he fell asleep, and after reposing himself some time, began to snore so frightfully that the poor children were no less afraid of him, and when he held up his great knife, and was going to take their lives. Little Thumb was not so much frightened as his brothers, and told them they should run away at once towards home while the ogre was asleep so soundly, and that they need not be in any trouble about him. They took his advice and got home quickly. Little Thumb went close to the ogre, pulled off his boots gently, and put them on his own legs. Okay, he's like little dude. Oh, okay. The boots were very large, but as they were fairy boots, they had the gift of becoming big or little, according to the legs of those who wore them, so that they fitted his feet and legs as well as if they had been made for him. He went straight to the ogre's house, where he saw his wife bitterly crying for the loss of her murdered daughters. "Your husband," said Little Thumb, "is in very great danger, for he has been taken by a gang of thieves, who have sworn to kill him if he does not give them all his gold and silver. At the very moment they held their daggers at his throat, he perceived me and begged me to come tell you the condition he was in, and to say that you should give me all that he has of value without retaining any one thing, for otherwise they will kill him without mercy. As his case was very pressing, he desired me to make use of the 7-leagued boots, which you see that I have on, so that I might make more haste than I have shown you, and I do not impose upon you." Okay, we got to make the 7-legged boots a magic item. 7-leagued boots. The good woman, being greatly frightened, gave him all she had, for this ogre was a very good husband, though he ate up little children. Little Thumb, having got all the ogre's money, came home to his father's house, where he received with abundance of joy. Okay, we got to highlight this so that we've got some stuff here about the 7-league boots. Okay. This. They greatly tax the wearer. They are made of fairy stuff. Okay. Okay. Made it home. Brought his family money, even though they ditched his ass twice. There are many people who do not agree in regard to this act of Little Thumb's, to pretend that he never robbed the ogre at all, and that he only thought he might very justly take off his 7-leagued boots, because he made no other use of them but to run after little children. These folks affirm that they are very well assured of this, because they have drank and eaten often at the faggot maker's house. They declare that when Little Thumb had taken off the ogre boots, he went to court, where he was informed that they were very much in trouble about a certain army, which was 200 leagues off, and anxious as to the success of battle. He went, as they say, to the king, and told him that if he desired, he would bring him news from the army that before night. The king promised him a great sum of money if he succeeded. Little Thumb returned that same night with the news, and this first expedition causing him to be known, he earned as much as he wished, for the king paid him very well for carrying out his orders to the armies. Many ladies employed him also to carry messages, from which he made money. After having some time carried on the business of a messenger, and thereby gained great wealth, he went home to his father, and it is impossible to express the joys of his family. He placed them in comfortable circumstances, bought places for his father and brothers, and by that means settled them very handsomely in the world, while he successfully continued to make his own way. So there you go. There is Little Thumb this evening from the Tales of Mother Goose. Not sure what I think about that one. Parents abandon him. He brings them back money. ogre woman lets them in and feeds them, she takes all their money. Yeah, I don't know. He got some cool boots. All right. Where else should we go? We've got some more Grimm's fairy tales. You know, I have some unknown fairy tales. Let's see what we have here. I've got both volumes of this. Fairy Tales, combined and edited by Marion Florence Lansing, Master of Arts, Volume 1. Copyright 1907. Okay. So we have some ones we've already seen. Doll in the Grass. So, all right, let's pick one out. Let's do one more story tonight. I'll be back. I'll probably be back tomorrow night and stream. Let me see what my schedule looks like tomorrow. I have a lot of leather to do. How to Tell a Real Princess deal. Let me look here. Yeah. All right. What if we find out that you're a real princess, Jelly? What will we do then? Oh, it's really short. You're fine with that outcome? Okay. Super short. Like 3 pages. Here we go. So we'll read one more after this. How to Tell a Real Princess. There was once a prince who wanted to marry a princess. Jelly seems to be more of a goddess, to be honest. Okay. There was once a prince who wanted to marry a princess, but she must be a real princess, mind you. One of these fake bullshit princesses. I don't need that in my life. So he traveled all around the world to find one, but everywhere there was always something in the way. You know, I hate it. When I'm traveling the world and there's shit in my way of finding princesses, and I'm like, Sounds like Mario so far. He travels all around and the princess is always in another castle. I think this is just a story of Mario. Let's go. Not that there was any lack of princesses. A jelly goddess? I'm good with that, Cookie. Not that there was any lack of princesses, but whether they were real princesses, he could not seem to make out. There was always something that didn't seem quite right. So they got a grip of princesses, all right? They got a stack of princesses, but some of them seem fake as fuck, you know? So he came home quite out of spirits, for he did wish so much to have a real princess. Binders full of princesses, dude. He just met her in a handshaking line, Jelligato. He didn't remember who she is. Can't tell you for sure. But he did want a real princess. One evening, a terrible storm came on. It thundered and lightning, and it was very, very frightening. And the rain poured down in torrents. Indeed, it was a fearful night. In the midst of it, there came a knocking at the palace gate, and the old king went to open it. It was a princess who stood outside. Hey, baby. You get to pick the next one, Salty. And we'll do one bedtime for Salty. Are you ready for bed? Have you washed face? And gotten ready? I know you got your PJs on already. Dude, if I was a goddess, I'd have the powers and shit and just don't. Yes, you're ready? Okay, we'll read this and one more. So snuggle up. It was a princess who stood outside, but oh dear, what a state she was in from the rain and storm. The water was streaming And there's a footnote at streaming. What do you think the footnote is? The water was streaming from her hair and clothes. Right, what's the footnote? And it ran up the tips of her shoes and out at the heels. And yet she insisted she was a real princess. Salty, we're trying to figure out, Jelly wants to figure out how to tell a real princess. But now we got a footnote, so let's go back to it. Let's go to the footnote. Why you not let me click, bro? There's many footnotes. Hold on, let's see. Maybe it's the bottom. Notes. Oh, okay. So it's just telling us the source. Hans Christian Andersen is a source, a collection of tales, one of the greatest storytellers in the world. No, that's page 14, not footnote 14. There's a whole bunch of footnotes. Where do we find them? I don't know. Why put them there? I don't know. All right. So we're trying to figure out how to find out what a real princess is. So I suggest a sniff test. You just sniff them and see if they're a real princess. And if that works, then you can smell them. That's my suggestion. All right. So the water's all pouring down on her and she's all fucked up and she's at the gates. And she looks good though. I mean, she looks pretty good for being all fucked up, right? And there's the old king, and apparently middle of the night you just throw your crown on, so that no one's got any questions. Very well, thought the old queen. That we shall presently see. She said nothing, but she went into the bedroom and took off all the bedding and then laid a pea on the framework of the bedstand. Now I know this one, Princess and the Pea. Having done this, she took out 20 mattresses and laid them upon the pea, and 20 eider-down quilts on top of the mattresses. This shit stacked way up. The princess lay upon this bed all night, and in the morning, she was asked how she slept. First of all, how'd she get up there? There's 20 mattresses there. She's up on a grip of mattresses. Oh, miserably, said the princess. I scarcely closed my eyes the whole night through. I'm not sure. I don't know what was in my bed. I lay upon something so hard that I'm black and blue all over from it. It's dreadful. Now, yeah, she flies up on top of there. Now they at once knew that she was a real princess, for through 20 mattresses and through 20 eider-down quilts, she felt the pea. None but a real princess could be so sensitive. So here's the question, Jelly. Are you so sensitive that you can't feel peas, that you can feel peas through mattresses? Have you ever tried? So the prince took her for his wife, because that's what you do. You just be like, hey, wife it up. No, Jelly is not a princess. Salty, can you feel peas through mattresses and quilts? I can't feel my iPad when I accidentally lay on her under my mattress pad. A whole ass iPad, let alone a pea. Oh, you are Salty? Oh, Salty's a princess. Oh my God. She needs princess paraphernalia now. Confirmed, Salty's a princess. Danny Coo. Danny, we figured out that Jelly is not a princess, but Salty is. So here's the question, Danny, because we've been figuring this out all night. We are figuring out who is a real princess. And here's how you figure out. I don't know. We're going to figure out if Danny's a princess. Danny, if you put a pea under your mattress, can you feel it? Oh, Danny's a king. Okay. That's fair. King Danny. All right. I'm glad we're getting our roles figured out here tonight. So the prince took her for his wife, for he knew that at last he had found a real princess, and the pea was put in a royal museum where it is still to be seen unless someone has stolen it. This, mind you, is a true story. Okay, so they felt the need for a couple of things. One, to put, is that it? You know what I think it is actually, Salty? It's edamame. There's edamame under your mattresses. That would make sense, actually. So the prince took for his, okay, so this pea is still in the Royal Museum, and if it ain't there, someone ganked that shit. And then you're sitting around and you're like, that seems legit. That seems legit. I think that's a true story. And then they're like, hey, in case you was doubting, it's a true story, footnote 17, that you can't look up. So we got that going for us. All right, one last one, bedtime for Salty. Let's change the title. That's all metadata. Ooh, it got turned white. Huh. All right, let's go back to the table of contents. Let's change the title. Not get help, but change title. That's not what we wanted. We wanted this. Bedtime for Salty. We're going to some fairy tales. All right, everybody snuggle up. It is 10:16 Eastern Standard Time. For all the old people out there, that's way past your bedtime, so I figure you guys are ready to go to bed. We're going to look, I think we'll raid Sunshine tonight. Let's see one more. Whoever wants to pick one, pick one. Did you get a shout out, Danny? Why would we not shout you out? You don't have to be so angry about it, Danny. Boop. Past bedtime. Oh, yeah. All right. You counted that. Fair. That's fair. All right. Does anybody see something they want? We've read some of these. Rumpelstiltskin, for instance, we already read. Cinderella, we read as the Ash Maiden. Diamonds and Toads? Deal. Diamonds. Wasn't that a song by Prince? Sorry, artist formerly known as Prince. Diamonds and Toads. Diamonds and Toads. Fairy tales. Once upon a time, there was a widow who had 2 daughters. The elder was so much like her, both in looks and in character, that whoever saw the daughter and saw the mother, they were both disagreeable and so proud that there was no living with them. The younger was the image of her father, in courtesy and in sweetness of temper, was one of the most beautiful girls ever seen. As people naturally love those who are like them, this mother doted upon her elder daughter, and at the same time conceived a great aversion to the younger. She made her eat in the kitchen and work continually. Among other things, the poor child had to go twice a day to draw water more than a half a mile from the house, and bring home a large pitcher full from it. One day, when she was at the drinking fountain, a poor woman came to her and asked to let her drink. "What's up, Nate?" "Ah, yes. With all my heart, goody," said the pretty little girl, rinsing the pitcher at once. She filled it with the clearest water of the fountain and gave it to her, holding up the pitcher all the while, so that she may drink the more easily. And the woman said to her, "You're so pretty, so good, and so courteous, I cannot help but give you a gift." This was a fairy who had taken the form of a poor countrywoman to see how far the civility and good manners of this young girl would go. Footnote 58 that we can't find. I will give you for a gift, continued the fairy, that at every word you speak, there shall come out of your mouth either a flower or a jewel. When the pretty girl got home, her mother scolded her for staying so long at the fountain. I ask your pardon, Mamma, said the poor girl, for not making more haste. And as she spoke these words, there fell from her lips 3 roses, 3 pearls, and 4 diamonds. What do I see here? Said the mother, quite astonished. I see pearls and diamonds coming out of the girl's mouth. How has this happened? This was the first time she had ever called her child my child. That's fucked up. The girl told her frankly that all that had happened to her, dropping from her mouth great numbers of diamonds as she spoke. Really? Cried the mother. I must send my own dear daughter thither. Fanny, see what comes out of your sister's mouth when she speaks. Would you, footnote 59, not like, my dear, to have the same gift? You have only to go draw water at the fountain, and when the poor woman asks you to let her drink, you give it to her very civilly. I should like to see myself going to the fountain to draw water, said this ill-bred minx. I insist that you go, said the mother, and that at once. So away she went, taking with her the best silver tankard in the house, but grumbling all the way. Stank hoe. She no sooner had reached the fountain than she saw coming out of the wood a lady magnificently dressed who came up to her and asked her for a drink. This was the same fairy who had appeared to her sister, but she had now taken the air and dress of a princess to see how far this girl's rudeness would go. Am I come here, said the ill-bred saucy girl, to serve you with water? Pray, I suppose this silver tankard was brought wholly on purpose for your ladyship, was it? I should think so. You must drink out of the fountain if you want any. You are hardly polite, answered the fairy. That fairy sounded salty. Without putting herself in passion. Well, then since you're so disobliging, I will give you a gift. That at every word you speak, there shall come out of your mouth a snake or a toad. As soon as her mother saw her coming, she cried out, Well, daughter? Well, mother, answered the rude girl, throwing out of her mouth a viper and a toad. Oh, mercy, cried her mother. What is this I see? It is her sister who is the cause of this, but she'll pay for it, and ran to beat her. Inventory full. Let me give you a shout out and some Dat Boy Nate shout out, inventory full. How are you, Liam? And some Dat Boy Nate. Nate, we discovered tonight how to figure out who's a princess and who's lying about being a princess. And we figured out that Jelly was not a princess and that Danny was not a princess, but that Salty was. So there's a charm in England that when you curse someone, and if they talk about a subject that you specify in the curse, they just puke bugs. Okay. All right. So the mom has sent, yeah, it is useful. The mom's got the daughter back who's now spitting snakes and toads out. And the mom has blamed it on the good sister who has been spitting diamonds and pearls and shit all day. And is going to go beat her ass for it. The poor child fled away from her and went to hide herself in a forest by. The king's son, who was returning from hunting, met her and seeing how beautiful she was, asked her what she was doing there all alone and why she was crying. Notice that he wouldn't have asked her if she was ugly. He's like, she's hot. How you doing? What's going on? Alas, sir, my mother has turned me out of doors. The king's son, seeing 5 or 6 pearls and as many diamonds fall from her mouth, desired her to tell him how that happened, and she told him the whole story. The king's son fell in love with her, and considering that such a gift was worth more than any marriage portion anyone could bring, conducted her to the palace of the king, his father, and there they were married. Marriages happen fast in fairy tales. It's just like, I love you, diamond girl, let's marry. He did fall in love with all that money falling out her face. She'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh yeah, girl, that's what I like. He fell in love with her, and he fell in love with that swag. As for her sister, she made herself so much hated that her own mother turned her out of doors. The miserable girl, after wandering about without finding anyone who would take her in, went away to a corner of the wood and died. That's it. That's the story. That seemed nice. Yeah, that's it. Probably the Viper got her. Yeah. All right, kids. Yeah. You know what? We got time for one more. Let me pick one more for y'all, something short. Salty, you're still awake, baby. You got to work tomorrow. All right. I'll read you one more, Salty. Tuck yourself in. Get your feet out. You're probably too hot anyway. Here, we got a 2-pager here. Ainsel. Mistress Lindsay, a widow, and her son Alan, who was a little boy then, lived in a cottage near Rothy. One winter's night, Alan refused to go to bed, with his mother saying, I wish to sit up a little while longer, for I'm not a little bit sleepy. His mother told him that if he sat up by himself, the old fairy wife would most certainly come and take him away. But the boy laughed at this, and his mother went to bed, leaving him sit by the fire. I can see where this shit's going. He had not long been there, watching the fire and enjoying its cheerful warmth, when a bonny little figure, about the size of a child's doll, hopped down the chimney and alighted on the hearth. The little fellow was somewhat startled at first, but the fairy's smile as it danced to and fro before him soon overcame his fears. At last he inquired, What do they call thee? Ainsel, replied the little thing, tossing its wee head. After a bit, it turned to Alan with the same question. And what do they call thee? My Ainsel, answered Alan. And they began to playing together like two children. Their gambols went on till the fire began to grow dim. But when Alan took up the poker to stir it, a hot cinder fell accidentally upon the foot of his playmate. Her tiny voice was instantly raised to a most terrific yell, and Alan had scarcely time to crouch into the box behind his mother before the voice of the old fairy wife was heard shouting, Who's done it? Who's done it? Hoots! It was my Ainsel, answered the tiny fairy. Why then, said her mother, and she kicked her up the chimney. What's all this noise for? There's no one to blame but thine Ainsel. The end. That's not a very good one. So apparently my Ainsel also means own self, oneself. Yeah. It was a bit abrupt. Yeah. Not sure what happened there. Not sure what went on. It was a pun. Yeah. It was a very good one. But there we go. I've never been kicked up a chimney. I'll be honest with you guys. Never been kicked up a chimney before in my life. All right, enough chicanery, tomfoolery, ballyhoo, monkey shines, and skullduggery, kids. I'm going to leave you all to your own devices. It was good to have you all here tonight. Sleep well. Sleep well. May you all have diamonds and pearls come out of your mouth when you talk. May wonderful things happen to you. May you sleep well and feel rested tomorrow. Now, Nate, don't be so fresh with me. We are going to raid Sunshine, a good friend of mine. She is down in Australia. And it looks like she's going to be doing some painting. He is saucy. Tonight. She's pretty talented and pretty awesome. So hang out with her. Tell her I said hello. I will see you all on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to finish off the metamorphosis and maybe make a monster out of the bug. The vermin. Again, give Sunshine a follow. She's quite delightful. Tell her I said hello. Hang around. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Be good to each other.